Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Namaste, everyone. Namaste. We'll say the prayer. हमें अपने मन को हमेशा संतुलित रखना है। इसी में हमारा आत्मविकास समाया हुआ है। वही में सर्वम ओम ओम ओम। आत्मनि में त्वम ओम ओम ओम। स्मारे स्मारे ओम ओम ओम। चित्तं शामय शामय ओम। स्मराणि सोऽहं ओम ओम ओम। शान्तं चिन्मयम् ओम माम् ओम। तटस्थं केवलम् ओम ओम ओम। स्मराणि शुद्धम् ओम माम् ओम। So we'll be doing Sutra 22 today, and the Sutra reads Sopakramam Nirupakramam Chakarma Tat Sanyamat Aparanta Jnanam Aristebhyo Va. The Hindi translation is when we जब कर्म पर सोप क्रम या निरुपक्रम कर्म पर संयम करने से आने वाली मृत्यु का ज्ञान होता है, या अरिष्ट पर ध्यान करने पर भी ये ज्ञान होता है. This is the Hindi translation, and if we look at the English translation, karma is either fast or slow in fructification. By practicing sanyama on karma or on the portents, foreknowledge of death can be acquired. Aparanta word in the sutra means death, and arishta means portent. In Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, and many Indian languages, जिसको शकुन अपशकुन बोलते हैं, अपशकुन या शकुन बोलते हैं, so that is what is portent. In English, the translation is omen. When we see certain omens, then we can expect certain results or certain happenings. So that is what this sutra is saying, that the karmas are of two kinds. What are these two kinds? The ones which fructify very fast, and the karmas these are known as sopakramam. And nirupakramam karmas are those karmas which fructify late, or we do not know when they will fructify. So this is related to the karma theory, which we have already discussed in chapter 2, Sutra 12, 13, 14. We had gone in great detail. So we know that whatever happens in our life, suppose when we are born, so it is because of the karma share, because of the past sanskaras, because of the karmas. So these sutras which I mentioned just now, there we saw that ekabhavik karma share. Normally, whatever lifespan we have got in this life, what species we are born in, what kind of experiences we are going through in this life. All that is determined by the karmas we have done in the past life. That is the yogic thinking, and that is the majority Indian philosophy thinking. So you'll find a large portion of world population believes in karma theory. So all Buddhist, Jainism, and all Hindu philosophies, they all believe. So that is one common thread, one common factor which is, accepted by all the Eastern philosophies, theory of karma. So we have discussed about it, so I'll not go in much detail. But then we saw that, even the karmas, although they are fixed, we are born with certain lifespan, we are born with certain map, a blueprint, what kind of experiences we are going through, we are going to go through in life, and how long we are going to live in that life. That is determined by the karma share. But as we are born and we are functioning in the world, we have to understand that this is not a very watertight kind of arrangement. We have got the freedom to act any way we like. So in this life, even though we are conditioned by past karmas, we have the freedom to change that by performing certain karmas in a certain way. And these certain way means, there is a continuously a thought going on in world philosophy of free will. So do we have free will to perform our life, perform our actions in such a way that we can change our destiny? So many people in the world believe that we have this kind of free will, and but that window is very small. That window is very, very tiny, and only a very intelligent person, only a committed person who's thinking in this manner, he can avail of this benefit of that window, where he can start performing karmas in such a way that he can alter his state or experiences or lifespan. So in Sutra 13 and 12 also we saw that certain karmas, when that they are done with lot of intensity and there's very high motivation, they are charged with lot of emotion. Now those actions will fructify very fast. And those which are done carelessly, which are not, a lot of thought is not there or clear motivation is not there, they are just done mechanically. Now such kind of actions will bear fruits very late. So this, as we have seen, and they have given the examples that if we try to give pain, if we create suffering and misery for somebody who's already weak, who's already suffering, who's always already going through some disease or some kind of problem, then in that case, those bad karmas are going to fructify very fast. And suppose if we are performing very virtuous kind of action, where we are serving some great souls, serving the saints and the sages, or doing lot of seva, or serving the people who are really suffering, helping them. Now, even those karmas can fructify very fast. That was stated earlier also, so we'll not go into that. But from this, we can understand that two kinds of karmas are there: sopakramam and nirupakramam. Sopakramam karmas are fructifying very fast. And a beautiful example has been given in Vyas Bhasha. Such a beautiful example. And it says that these karmas are like wet cloth. Remember, if we all have washed clothes, so we know. If there is a thick cloth, cotton cloth, and we have washed it, then what we do? We try to spread it as wide as possible so that the surface is available to the air and to the light for drying it fast. But if we just put it crumpled and we just put it in one corner, a spread out cloth may dry in few hours, and a cloth which is crumpled and kept in a corner may take maybe days together to dry it. So karmas are like that. Sopakramam karmas are the widespread cloth like, and they can fructify very fast. They can give results very fast. Whereas the other, they are just simmering. They are just very, very slowly they are drying up. So this beautiful example has been given in the Vyas Bhashya. So now you see, this is one thing, and then the imminent death the death is imminent, but when death will come, it is, and everybody wonders about it. So by doing sanyam on the karma, it is possible to know about the death. Also on the arista. Arista is what? The omens. Now arista is certain happenings. They may appear like innocent happenings, disconnected happenings. We have got nothing to do with them. but then these are called portents, and they keep happening. So if one can focus on those portents, then also one can know about when the death will come. So one may ask why it is so important to know about the death. Maybe actually speaking, it is better that we do not know about when the death will come, because it's a big cause of worry and tension. So we don't know, that is the good thing. But then in case of yogis, if they really want to know when they will die, then they can come to know by focusing on the karmas and by focusing on the portents. So this Arista, it is very, Arista, I don't know about the other parts of the world, but in Indian thinking, this Arista or Shakun Apshakun, this is a very, very important aspect of life of Indians. You'll find most of the Indians believe in this. So that's why you'll find that several things they will as you are setting out of the house and suddenly a cat crosses your road, people will go back 3 steps, or they may wait for some time and then they may proceed, thinking that whatever work they are going to do or whatever objective they have for setting out of the house, that will not be fulfilled. So this is the kind of Shakun or Apshakun which we are talking about. Now this Shakun, this portent, it's so important that entire Indian culture has been influenced by it. And I was, again, it's a coincidence that I was reading this sutra, and simultaneously I'm also reading Valmiki Ramayana. And precisely in Valmiki Ramayana, I'm on the chapter which is talking about these portents. Surprising thing it is. So I was reading this sutra, and then I read the chapter in Valmiki Ramayana, chapter 23 of Aranyakand, second portion. So there they say that Shurpankha, she came to Ram and Lakshmana, and she had the intention to get married to Rama, and all that story. Although in Ramcharitmanas it is done in very small way, but in Valmiki Ramayana they have gone in great detail about explaining what was the dialogue between Ram and Shurpankha, and what was the dialogue between Lakshman and Shurpankha, and what all transpired. And then finally her nose and ears are cut by Lakshmana. She goes to her three brothers, three demons are there, Khar, Dushan, and Trishara. These are the three demons which are there. So she goes and complains. So they send 20 Rakshasas, demons, to kill Rama, and Rama kills them all. And then finally she again goes to Khar and Dushan, and they say, okay, we will go and kill Rama. And they come out with a big army. So as they are setting out to, go to kill Rama, as they come out of their place, suddenly there are certain portents which have been talked about in the Ramayana. And what are these portents? Now, by the way, according to Vyas Bhashya, these portents can be again divided into 3 kinds. What are these 3 kinds? Adhyatmik, Adhibhautik, and Adhidaivik. Adhyatmik portents are those portents or those signals, those indications, those subtle happenings within the body-mind complex. Something unusual happens within our body and mind complex, which is unexplainable, which is really surprising, which is shocking. Then one has to really pay attention to that. So that will be termed as a adhyatmik, which is happening within our own body-mind complex. The adhibhautik portents, adhibhautik shakuns are, which are happening outside in the sense from the other life forms, from the other people, from other animal forms, or birds, or insects, or snakes, or even the trees. So all that will be kind of adhibhautik portents, which are, all these portents are mentioned in chapter 23, where Khar and Dushan are setting out to. So I'll give you the example, which are those. And then Adi Daivik is, the divine. You suddenly see, you come out, and it's a very auspicious thing and auspicious time according to you, and then set out, and something happens. And you look at the sky and you see that, sun has changed. Something has changed in the sun. The clouds have come when there was no rain, or the color of clouds, which is mentioned in that chapter. Now, all these will be considered as Adi Daivik. So these are the indications, these are the portents. these are important. We have to understand that one may say, as we are discussing it, one may say that, oh, it is all superstitious. It's all superstition. When cat is crossing your path, then your work will not be done. It is a fool's thinking. But then we have to just think about it little deeper. See, we are free to reject it. We are free to really understand the whole thing and then outrightly reject it. But then we have to also find out why these people believed so much in it, and is there any truth in it. So that we are going to consider. So now these portents which Thara demon saw, one was that he started having lot of headache, severe headache he had. That was one portent. The other portent was his left arm started flickering. That was the second portent. That this can be termed as Adhyatmic portent. Now I'm just talking about one chapter of Valmiki Ramayana. If you read Ramcharitmanas of Tulsidas, you will find that Bharat, when he was coming back from his maternal house to Ayodhya, he saw lots of portents which indicated to him that something bad has happened in Ayodhya. So again, so many portents there, animals crossing in a certain way. So you'll find the birds, like particularly vultures, owls. These vultures and owls, they are the indicators of misfortune. That is the reading of the portent. So in Ramcharitmanas also at several places, even when Ravana finally at the end of when the war is about to finish and the day Ravana gets killed, when Ravana is setting out to have a war with Rama, he sees lots of portents, but he's so egoistic and he doesn't bother about it. Same way, this Khar Dushana, they are not bothered about this. He said, no matter what, we are going to kill Rama because he has insulted our sister. So they set out, and one by one, every Rakshasa gets killed. And many Devas come to witness because they also know that the final end for these demons has come. So it's a big detail which is given. And at several places in Ramayana, particularly, I was surprised. Before starting Valmiki Ramayana, I completed Ramcharitmanas very carefully, and I was again and again thinking why Tulsidas has given so much importance to these portents. And surprisingly, in Valmiki Ramayana, in one chapter, all these indications are given. In the very next chapter, they are talking about the state of Rama, and what is happening. Rama is telling Lakshmana that you take Sita and go into a cave, and so many demons are going to attack, and I am going to kill them all. So please go away from here. And then they describe what is the state of mind of Rama, how he looks, and then they say that the right arm of Rama, it started flickering. So that means something good was going to happen, or maybe victory was going to come. Now these are the portents. We may discount them. We may say that they are disconnected. They are not. There's no scientific basis behind it. But we'll come to it about the scientific basis. Also, we'll come to it. This Indians have been, very, very, conditioned with this kind of thoughts. So maybe certain portents are there. See now here, what portents are they talking about in Vyas Bhashya in this sutra? Those are very important, and normally they don't happen. But there are so many normal happenings in the day which are also taken as a portent. So, for example, it is mentioned in one of the yoga scripture only, that when you set out of the house, if you see a lady walking with a pot full of water, then be sure that all good is going to come to your way, and you are whatever you are set out to do, you are going to be successful, because that is a portent. And that is the reason that in Navratra, the very first day, Kumbha Sthapana, a pot full of water is kept on the first day. Even when somebody buys a new house, he will first go in that house with the water filled pot, and he will place that pot there because it brings good luck. So whether it was interpreted by few individuals, they thought that seeing a woman with pot is going to be very, very beneficial to me, and they set a rule, and everybody started believing it. And maybe that's why the convention was formed, that whenever you see this, and then gradually entire society started accepting that there is a possibility. So some people experience something and they say, because I saw this has happened. So people may start believing that. But then the potents which are talked about Vyas Bhasha are not of that kind. They are much more deeper potents. So now let us talk about the scientific aspect of it. Whether we should be, believing in this or not. So I told you that as we are discussing sutra, it is a sutra which is really important, and it has got very deep connection with our behaviors and our thinking. If we adopt the principle laid down in the sutra, we can really rise to some greater level of understanding in life. How that will be, will be visible and it will be obvious. Let us first understand about the this potent idea. Now, potent is what it, there are some indications, there are certain happenings, and these are very subtle kind of indications which are showing that something is likely to happen. This is what it means. Now, is there any modern parallel in science which believes in this? Maybe in, not in physics, maybe not in chemistry, maybe not in biology. Maybe in biology there might be, I don't know. But then in psychology, definitely it is there. You have heard about the great psychologist Carl Gustav Jung, and it is another coincidence. See, wonderful thing. I was reading Valmiki Ramayana when I'm doing this sutra. At the same time, I received some messages on the WhatsApp which are talking about the synchronicity of Carl Gustav Jung. Now, remember all this. You can check it out on the YouTube. Synchronicity principle given by Carl Gustav Jung. So he has talked a great deal about. He says there are certain indications which can be called as signals. They can be kind of indicators. They are some kind of indicators which are pointing out that something larger is going to happen, something important is going to happen, something big is going to happen. And then he calls it law of synchronicity. And a lot of messages, lot of YouTube messages are dealing with this kind of thing where suddenly you see certain numbers. So you see 1111. I've been seeing these numbers. This is last 2 years regularly. So you see 5555, you see 3333 or 1212, you see 2323, you see triple four, you see triple five, triple four. Lots of such numbers are there, and some people call them angel numbers. Now these angel numbers are connected to the synchronicity which Carl Gustav Jung talks about. So at one point when Carl Gustav Jung was interviewed, he said that for 40 years I was hesitant to talk about synchronicity, although in my practice of psychology of so many years with so many patients, I was convinced about it and I knew that this is working. So he knew that synchronicity principle is working, but he did not dare talk to other people because he was afraid that people will be laughing at him. People will ridicule him because how a scientist, how a person who's of such great caliber and great stature in the world, how he can talk about something like potent, something like synchronicity. But then it is very interesting. If you are really interested, study. You will find a lot of material on YouTube. You will find a lot of material in Google about this law of synchronicity, which Carl Gustav Jung talks about. So he lends certain scientific basis to what the sutra is trying to tell us. And then if we try to apply the principle of this sutra in our day-to-day life, what it means is, here they are talking about the ultimate principle of acquiring the knowledge about death. But why only death? We can try to acquire knowledge of so many things, like what will happen to me after 20 years, where I will be after 15 years, where I will be after 25 years, what will happen to me, or what will be my life like after 20 years. This could be this could be a very, very important thing in our life. So why only death? If we apply this principle of sutra, then we can also try to understand what I am doing right now. What are the indications in my life right now which can tell me that what will happen after 15 years? This is also a possibility which we have to consider. So one can, sometimes certain things happen in our life. They are indicative of some bigger challenge which is going to come. But because we think that the happening is disjointed, it is unconnected, it has got no connection with future, it has got no connection with us, so we don't pay attention to it. So we neglect it. So certain important things which we can learn from this sutra is that nothing happens around us which has got no meaning. You have to understand that. Every experience we go through in life is very, very important. And if we pay sufficient attention to it, but normally we don't do that. Normally we pay attention to those events and those happenings around us, in which we are selfishly interested, which are connected to our deepest desires or some desire fulfillment. We are giving a lot of importance to such things. But certain innocent looking happenings are there in our life. We don't pay attention to that. And then we fail to see. Now, this principle can be applied in several ways. This principle can be applied to health also. Our body is always giving us portents. These portents, these signals, these indications, subtle indications, body is always giving us. If we pay attention, we come to know that what is going to happen into the body in some future years. If we don't pay attention, then maybe we end up with some major problem. And then we start thinking, in hindsight, we come to know, oh, I have seen this kind of happening, but I didn't pay attention to this. I never realized that this could be connected. This is our, excuse, or this is our thinking at that time, because we have not paid attention to that. So this is a very important sutra from that point of view. Not to consider anything as an important. All events are very, very important. This is the first take from the sutra. The second take from the sutra is that we have to learn to pay attention to everything. Nothing is unimportant. Nothing is, happening accidentally. People may believe that things are happening accidentally, but when things are happening around us, within our body-mind complex around us, they are coming, we are perceiving them, they are coming to our consciousness, then those things are important. So we have to learn this art of focusing on certain things, paying attention to everything, every detail. We don't have, unfortunately, that kind of training. So it is not only, knowing about death, it is about so many other things, why certain people, they are just analyzing. Now, for example, some experts are there, political experts are there. Now, Trump won in America. Now, where the world will be after 4 years, they can predict it right now, seeing certain signs. What will happen where they can predict it, so because they are paying attention to this event. We may take, okay, it is a disjointed event, which is, it is accidental, or it is, unconnected event with us. Trump has won, so what? But everything, this is just an example, because this is very recent thing, and it is everybody's mind is occupied with this thought. So that's why I give this example. Now I'll just try to read Dr. Jaydev's passage on this, which will really give the indication about the importance of the sutra. So what doctor says, we can see certain signs and we are able to know what has happened or what can happen. A good yogi can predict the future of an individual by looking at the way he behaves. Actions create certain reactions in us just as much as they affect the outside world. For example, when a person is excited and does something, we can tell that this person is disturbed and his actions will therefore not yield good results. As against this, an individual who's quiet and steady is going to be more concentrated and successful. This kind of understanding helps us to foretell events. We know our actions down to the smallest detail, and we also know the consequences that will follow. We can thus foretell unexpected events long before they happen. Actions as karma are of two kinds, that is sopakramam and nirupakramam. Those that are quick and those are very slow. So he says the early signs are available naturally. The individual suffers for this kind of handicap if he is not paying attention to these. So most of the time, sometimes people say that the writing was on the wall very clear, but we did not pay attention. It happens. Something is happening in front of us, and if we pay attention to it, if we are conscious of it, then definitely we can come to know that we need to take precautionary measures. Like I was telling you, one simple example would be about the body. Now, such a common thing as common cold. It doesn't happen that we are sitting under the fan and suddenly the sneeze comes and then the cold starts. It doesn't happen like that. or onset of fever. Fever doesn't start suddenly. Before the body undergoes a fever or the common cold, sneezing and running nose. Suppose running nose starts. Now, before running nose starts, there are indications given by the body, but we are not trained, we are not thought about it, we are not sensitive enough to pay attention to the body. If we are sensitive, then immediately we can do something by which we can prevent certain occurrence of common cold or maybe fever. We can avoid certain. So this is at the body level. Same thing happens at the mental level. We say certain words, we feel certain mental states. They are indicative of some deeper happening. They are connected to something very, very significant. They are connected to our total well-being, perhaps. But we are not trained our mind. And yoga is, as we see, all these which we are seeing, they are talking about this training of the mind. Training of the mind is very important. And in yoga, nothing happens involuntary. Nothing is automatic. Everything is at the conscious level. Yogi knows. Yogi knows what is going to happen. He can see it. That's why we have seen that he's Trikaldarshi. He can see the past, he can see the future, and present to it is available. From present indications, only present symptoms only, he can, find out what. So lots of important things are there. As I told you, that Indians have been trained to look at these, and so they avoid certain. So if they see some bad omen, they will not start the right kind of work, or they will not start something important. They will wait for the right portent to come. Like I visit Konkan, Maharashtra, Western Maharashtra very, very frequently. And I was surprised that even such a simple thing as Devi Puja, if they 9 days puja, now Navratra went, so now 9 days puja is there. Now before the puja, certain kind of permission will have to be taken from the goddess. So all the villagers, they will come into the temple, they sit in front of, and the pujari or the main person who's taking care of puja, he will sit in front of Devi, and they will wait for certain indication from Devi to start the puja. If that indication doesn't come, they will not start the puja. This I have seen, I have personally seen, so I am talking about it. So this is very common, in many places. They call it call. देवी का कॉल मिलेगा तो करेंगे, नहीं तो नहीं करेंगे. तो जो भी अच्छा शुभ काम करने का है तो देवी भगवान का कॉल चाहिए. God has to permit. Then only, and then whether God has permitted or not, how do we know? In Hindi film, you will find the flower drops. So in movies also they show it. So whether the goddess has permitted or not, you'll see, they'll focus the camera on the goddess, and then a flower will fall from her hand. That is a portent. So this kind of, lots of things are there. I try to briefly, capture everything. But it is important. As I told you, it's a good study. If you can find on particularly Carl Gustav Jung's synchronicity principle, you can study. That is scientific. So if that synchronicity principle is correct, then there is a lot of substance in what the sutra is telling us. So it is not at all only the superstition. There is some logic behind this. There is some thinking behind it. That is what we have to understand.
These portents, one feels okay, but one has to be very sharp to differentiate between the superstition and a portent. Now, for example, we are having a cat at home. Now, if I wait, then I cannot move at all in my house because the cat is running.
Every time she crosses your path.
So I think there are certain superstitions which were there earlier.
Unfortunately, Patanjali did not specify whose cat it should be. If it is your own cat, maybe you will not be affected. Maybe it is the outside cat.
Yeah. So outside bhi agar hai to hai. I mean to say one needs to be not like with superstitions, one gets fearful. So
Yes.
that fear should not be there.
Yeah.
And what you rightly said, there are portents. If one understands, then it is always proper.
A very good psychologist, when you are talking to your child, very good psychologist, very good yoga student, if a mother is talking to child, from the talk he can tell you that how the child is going to grow up and what kind of relationship he is going to have with mother. This is not a potent, to be believed, but this is something which can be deduced by the behavior, by the words. So that conversation can be taken as a potent. So there we can definitely make use of all this. एक जैसे एक माँ बोलती है, मेरा मेरा बच्चे के सामने बोलती है, ये बच्चा मेरी बात सुनता ही नहीं है. Now imagine what will happen. A mother says, my child doesn't listen to me. In front of strangers, she is saying this, and the child is also there. And she says, my child is not listening to me. What will happen to that relationship? Just imagine. One simple sentence, where it can lead to. Or a wife innocently says something about husband. Husband says something about a wife. The words, they can indicate a lot.
Sir, I was reading this book today. Why do the body parts vibrate and what do they say? Like, if the right eyelids is vibrating,
Yeah.
it says in this. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
from the Swami Paramhans ashram. And when we say, the right eyelids, when it
बाई आंख फड़क रही है, बाई आंख फड़क रही है.
so then
in
something
Tulsi-
auspicious will happen. So
Yeah.
like that way, in this book, for 58 body parts, when they vibrate like that way, it is given. The right is auspicious, left is something bad will happen like that, or many things are
So
written that
everybody
way.
can see, again, it is a synchronicity.
Yeah, I was reading the same book today.
So this is also synchronicity.
Sir, but see the yogi, as you said in the third chapter, Sayama, he or she can decipher the omens or what it is, like for what it is.
Yeah.
But as laymen, when we are experiencing, so it could give us hopes sometimes, which of course sometimes, materializes or disappoints. Or of course, as Sir said, Ajay Sir said, about the fears. So how do as laymen we interpret or, not get caught in this kind of?
So most of the time people are guided by their fears. So they see a bad omen and they stop acting. So that is the time I think we can use the principle of yoga where they are talking about strength. So doing something in such a way that you are able to overcome that fear and you are able to go ahead. That will be the right course of action for a layman also. Because if we just fall prey to it and we become weak, then we'll not be able to function well in life. That's why it is a bad thing to believe it in superstitious manner and not thinking about it correctly. And mainly we should focus on the right things. When we have a particular personality trait, we should think where it will lead to, so that we can understand ourselves better. So this has to be used to understand ourselves better and understand the other people better.
Thank you, sir.
So even in this book also, it is written the same thing, like you contemplate and meditate on that thing. Like when any body part is vibrating,
Yeah.
it's written the same.
Yeah.
तो दूसरा ये हो सकता है कि लाइक योगी जिनको कर्म समझ में आते हैं, सो दैट दे नो कि उनके प्रारब्ध कर्म कितने बच गए हैं और कब, दैट इज व्हाई द डेथ दे कुड सी, लाइक और कितना उनको जल्दी करना है उनका साधना एंड ऑल दैट. इज देयर अ लिंक?
Yes. They can complete their targets of sadhana.
Yes.
And do certain things.
I thought so.
Quite possible it is. Yes. Very true.
Madhav Das ji declared na ki I'm going down and don't open the door till tomorrow this time.
Yeah.
And, you open the door and I'll be gone. So he was
Yes.
very clear and precise.
Precise.
He knew.
Very true. So there are many instances of these saints and sages who do that. They know exactly at what, or sometimes they choose when to go. That is also there. But they come to know that their end has come.